Hey, what's up, everybody? So today I have inspiration on a topic that I would like to talk about. After meeting with one of my recoveries today, I suggested this to them, and kind of made me think, like, maybe I'll make a video on this because I think this is a pretty helpful tool for some people in recovery. Whether that's recovery from mental health, recovery from addiction. If you're dual diagnosis, you have both, etc., etc. I don't have any personal experience using this, and I haven't really gone through this with a recovery up until today, but I've been aware of this, which is why I suggested it. So before I get into it, not to beg, but it really helps the channel when you guys hit that like button, subscribe, especially subscribe, and then comment too. I don't know if the commenting really helps too much with the algorithm, but I really enjoy reading everyone's comments and responding to them, and everyone online has just been so kind and supportive, so I'm really appreciative of everyone's comments. But yeah, if you feel so inclined, if you feel this was a helpful video, please hit the like button, subscribe. That way, try to reach more people with this. And also, as you see, I have a new blankie. This is a blankie my parents got me for Christmas. It's very nice. I almost feel like a pimp. Like, it's like that kind of like, I don't know, like a pimp coat or something. I don't know. It's very fuzzy. It feels nice. But yeah, so let's get into it. So what I'm going to be talking about today is the Wellness Recovery Action Plan. The acronym is WRAP. So I don't know the whole history. I was kind of doing some reading. I'm gonna definitely on YouTube, because I know I can do that. I don't know if I can on TikTok, because I'll be posting this on both, but on YouTube for sure, and then hopefully TikTok, I'm gonna post a link to this WRAP that you can go and check out. This was made by someone, apparently Mary Ellen Copeland, and it's a pretty thorough and detailed plan, for people in recovery. It's especially helpful. Like, the goal is to kind of print this out, or at least have it like on your computer maybe, but for me, I would probably want to have it printed out. And then it's essentially like a workbook, and you can just go through and answer each prompt. And then that way, when you're in the middle of like a crisis, or, maybe like, some triggers are going on, you could pull out your wellness recovery action plan and be like, oh, here's some things I can do to help myself. So I'm not going to go too in depth on like each section, but I will talk about the different sections to just give you guys a general idea. So the first section, and I'm reading off the screen because I was too lazy to write this down. The first section is the daily maintenance plan. So apparently it includes I threw up three parts: a description of yourself when you are well, those recovery tools you must use every day to maintain your wellness, and the list of things you might need to do on any day. So that makes sense. So it's just essentially like, here are some things. Like, for me, like exercise, like working out, would be on the daily maintenance plan. Showering would be on the daily maintenance plan. Eating, and I know it sounds silly. It's like some of that's like really basic, but I think it's helpful to like write that out, and like especially like if you're going through a really challenging time in your life, or you're struggling, to be able to pull this out and be like, oh yeah, I haven't showered for like a few days, like let me take a shower. And of course that's not gonna like cure your depression, but it certainly is an activity you can do to at least take care of yourself, or at least partly take care of yourself. So I think that's really helpful to just have that all written out, and then you can just look at it and be like, oh yeah, let me do these things. Or here are some other things that I could do. For some people, maybe their daily maintenance plan might be attend a meeting once a day or a few times a week, AA or NA or Smart Recovery, any of those. The second one, and this is why I thought about this and suggested it to my recovery, because he came up, like one thing he would like to work on is triggers, like identifying triggers. So section 2 is triggers. So, if they happen, what might make you feel worse, like an argument with a friend or getting a big bill. And then the next sections, you can develop an action plan you can use to get through this difficult time. So I think that's incredibly important, and that's maybe something that some people might overlook or like not be cognizant about, is like being mindful of your triggers. I think that's incredibly helpful, just because it's like, oh, hey, like like for me, like I wouldn't say it's a huge trigger, but for me, December is a bit more of a sensitive month for me, just because that's the anniversary of me losing my nursing job. That's the anniversary of me being arrested. And then also it's just like I tend to get more depressed during the winter time anyways. So by being aware of that, and especially if I had that written down, I would kind of be able to remind myself and be like, oh, okay, I really need to be on top of like my daily maintenance, and really practice good self-care, because this is going to be an especially difficult time. Or, you have like a loss of a loved one, or like a significant financial strain. Like that's going to be triggering for some people. So I think it's really helpful to kind of have stuff like that written out. So the next one, section 3, is identifying early warning signs. And this is another thing I think I kind of went over with my recovery, which might be helpful. It's because those subtle signs that let you know you are beginning to feel worse, like being unable to sleep or feelings of nervousness. Then again, using your wellness toolbox, developing an action plan for responding to these things, you feel better quickly and prevent a possible difficult time. So I think this is also a really important section, because I think by being able to like identify and just being aware of like some warning signs, kind of let you know like, hey, I need to be more vigilant. I need to be more like on top of my self-care. Because at this point, it's like, like for me, for example, it's, kind of like a backslide. So if I notice like I'm not going to the gym, or I'm not like doing daily self-care, like showering, or, like even simple stuff like laundry and feeding myself. If I start noticing I'm not doing that, that's definitely an early warning sign for me. And it's kind of that beginnings of a possible descent into like deep depression. So I think it's very helpful to just be aware of those early warning signs, and then be like, oh, it looks like I'm heading towards possibly like more depression, like, and then, developing an action plan. And I didn't explicitly state so, but in each of these sections, as it kind of said, like, there's like an action plan. So it's like, like with the triggers, identify the triggers, and then kind of come up with an action plan. So there's like, it's nice because it's like breaks it all down, and there's prompts for each of those. So I think that's super awesome, super helpful. So section 4 is when things are breaking down. So in this section, you list those signs that let you know you are feeling much worse, like you are feeling very sad all the time, or are hearing voices. And again, using your wellness toolbox, develop a powerful action plan that will, okay, that's worded weirdly. Right. Develop a powerful action plan that will help. And yes, I'm reading that correctly. Yeah, that's just written very weird. Sorry, I'm just like, that doesn't sound right. So, also good to be aware of this, because it's like, let's say like you kind of ignore those early warning signs, and like things are like really starting to go downhill. Like, so for me, if I'm thinking more of like, wishing to be dead, or like, hey, it would be really nice to kill myself, that's like, okay, things are not necessarily breaking down, but like it's heading that way. And then if I'm like not doing anything other than pretty much laying in bed, that's when things are starting to break down. So good to be aware of that. And then section 5, which is really good, I think this is also a really important section, is a crisis plan or advanced directive. In this crisis plan, you identify those signs that let others know they need to take over responsibility for your care and decision making, who you want to take over for you and support you through this time, healthcare information, a plan for staying at home through this time, things others can do that would help, and things they might choose. This is worded kind of weird, but to do that would not be helpful. So identifying things that like people can do that help, and things that might not be so helpful. And this kind of proactive advanced planning keeps you in control even when it seems like things are out of control. So I think that's great, because it's like, and this is like the beauty of the wrap, having this like printed out and like written down, is like, if you're in the middle of a crisis, or like, like really having a tough time, you're not gonna like be like, oh, let me think of all my coping skills, or like I'm gonna do mindfulness stuff. It's like at that point, like your brain's like, you're not doing well. You're not gonna really be able to like sit and like think of that stuff. So it's I feel like it's kind of helpful to just be able to pull this out and be like, oh, okay, like, yeah, let me call my friends, like Nicole, and let her know like what's going on, and have her try and help. Or, I'm going to call my parents and, have them help. And it's cool. I was doing some more reading through it. It's like stuff like what medications you take, what medications you could take that could be helpful, medications that aren't helpful. So it's really cool. It really breaks it down quite a bit. Let me scroll through here. Well, let me say this before I scroll through, because I don't want to lose my place. Lastly, section 6 is the post-crisis plan. So, you may want to think about this part of the plan in advance, and even write some things to do in that time. However, you may want to write most of it as you are beginning to recover from this crisis, when you have a clearer picture of what you need to do for yourself to get well. So I think that's great too, because it's just good to like kind of have a plan, or think out like, after you recover from your crisis, like how are you going to kind of resume, your life. But yeah, let me go down here to, just to give you guys kind of an idea. Yeah, this is like really thorough, which I really like. I think it's really great. So, with the crisis plan, part 1, what I'm like when I'm feeling well, then there's space for you to write out, this is what I'm like when I'm feeling well. And then the next part is my symptoms. So write my symptoms or behaviors that indicate to others that I need them to take over responsibility for my care. There's a part for you to list people, like I said, like a friend or parent, and also phone number down here. So that way it's like, it's like if you're in a crisis, you can pull this out and be like, oh, here's these people I can call. What I like too is like there's also a section for people I don't want involved. And I don't know, like that's just one thing like I wouldn't really think about normally. So I think that's I don't know, I like that a lot, because I mean it's a really good point. Like it's like there's some people that like, if you get them involved, it's just gonna make your crisis worse. So it's like, hey, here's some people I don't want to have involved. And it shows a person's name, connection, role, or relationship, and then reason for no involvement. So it's like, I don't know, I think that's pretty cool. I like that. And then, yeah, so the medications I'm currently taking, medications I would prefer to take, medications that would be acceptable, and then medications that must be avoided. you know, treatments that may help me, when these treatments should be used, and then treatments to avoid. So like, you know, it's just really thorough. I really appreciate the fact that it's like very thorough and like, well, like it just covers a lot of the bases. And again, it's like comprehensive too, because it's like not just like a crisis plan, but it's like a whole recovery plan. I mean, obviously that's why it's, you know, the wellness recovery action plan, because you know, it entails pretty much everything, you know, like what can I do to take care of myself every day and like maintain like low symptoms, and then what are some warning triggers, what are some warning signs, what are some signs that it's getting even worse, and then it's like, what can I do when I'm in the middle of a crisis? So I think it's really cool. It's like not just like reactive, it's proactive too, you know, so you're not just like using it to respond to a crisis, but you're also like using it to like prevent you or help you prevent you from getting into a crisis. So yeah, like I said, I'm gonna link it in the description. I really highly recommend you guys check it out. You know, hopefully this might be a helpful tool, whether or not you like print it out and like fill it out, but maybe even just helpful to kind of just go through it and just be like, oh, I never thought about those things before. And then just like mentally take note of that. And but again, I think it works best if it's like printed out and you actually work on it like ahead of time, because like I said, if you're in the middle of a crisis, you're not really going to be able to like effectively think of what to do in the crisis, because you're just like, you know, you're in crisis mode. You know, so I don't know, I just think it's helpful to just pull it out and be like, oh yeah. So but yeah, hopefully it helps you guys in like one way or another, or at least it's kind of food for thought, interesting. Definitely please comment. Like I'd love to hear everyone's comments on like what you think of it. Like, did you check it out? What are some parts that you liked? What are some parts you didn't like? Do you see yourself using it, or do you feel like someone you know might benefit from it? Let me know what you think. I like I said, I love reading the comments. And again, you know, if this video was somewhat helpful, you know, please hit the like button and subscribe. It helps tremendously. Yeah, that's it. I'm glad I was able to have a good topic to talk about today. So if I think of anything else, I will probably do a video sometime in the future. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.